one force, binding everything, invisible, relentless, creating order from chaos, pulling it all into one universe. What if that same force could reshape healthcare, pulling every strand of life to one point of clarity, sparking connection, intelligence, billions of signals, finally in sync, vitals, records, imaging, one stream, one system. Now that force has a direction, forward. This is gravity, the one force, moving healthcare forward.
I'm Lisa Berry.
Mike Sutton.
Ankit Maheshwari.
Ashish Singh.
So we're here today to talk about Gravity by Innovaccer. We started about a decade ago when people were thinking about how to actually make data work for healthcare, not just for billing and compliance, but to actually improve delivery of care, outcomes, reduce burnout, and really get doctors and nurses back to what matters, which is care delivery at the bedside. And so, we're at this moment in time in the healthcare system across the country, across the world, where the system is near a breaking point, where we have just rising cost of care, aging population, increased complexity of care, and a really dramatic shortage of healthcare workers, from physicians to nurses to other care professionals, and also just really shrinking margins. And we're trying to figure out what can we do, and AI is being sort of touted as a solution, a magic dust we can sprinkle across aging healthcare infrastructure, and we'll suddenly be able to solve all our problems. That's not exactly how it works. And so we're taking all of this experience that Innovaccer has, a decade of work innovating on these problems, and bringing something new. So let's talk about what this actually looks like, for healthcare system CIOs and for the enterprise. What's actually happening on the ground, Mike?
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. I think you characterized the problem real well. But in a single word, I just say the health systems are squeezed.
Yeah.
I mean, the cost of running their environments, their IT environments, are not going down. They have legacy environments in place that cost a lot of money to support. And then the idea is that there's going to be some efficiencies found in these AI solutions going out there. So most of them have a dozen or half a dozen pilots going on, which just makes the problem more complex, because those AI solutions need to have data. They're requesting for data in an environment where that is already complex and hard to get to. Mm-hmm. And that's putting more pressure on the IT people, especially in the analytic people, to produce the data for those environments. And then secondly, they're chasing these, looking for some return on investment in these particular areas. And at best, they're soft. I mean, I think the most characterization in the enterprises right now, they're experimenting. Mm-hmm. They're trying different things, and they really need speed to try these things so you can fail fast and throw them away. They're not getting that speed they need because it takes so long to procure the data. Most of the analysts I talked to over my career have told me it takes 70 to 80% of their time to get data that they're comfortable with to put into a model. And then the final piece of that I think is difficult, if let's say they do, like scribing has gotten some interesting returns, but getting them operationalized is another step that sometimes can't have. It may stop the product. If you can't get it into the hands of the clinicians and the folks affecting care, then really was it worth it?
Right. So you tend to have all of these disconnected pilots, right? And maybe really hard to see the ROI across an entire enterprise. And also, what kind of data are they connecting to, and how is it actually built into workflows?
Yeah, exactly. And it's with the complexity of these now, it's beyond the data. It's models, it's different workflows that are going on. There's really iterations of different types of configurations that can happen in an enterprise.
Yeah, so this is kind of the problem that we're dealing with, and this is what led us to create Gravity by Innovaccer. Ankit, talk about what we're doing here, how we got to Gravity by Innovaccer, and what's included.
Yeah, for sure. And thank you for the question, Lisa. I think if we imagine Gravity by Innovaccer is a purpose-built healthcare intelligence platform designed for health systems, helping them accelerate their journey to move out just from the AI experiments to real AI deployments at scale and with security, right? Enabling teams to build AI agents, co-pilots, train small language models on their own data, and irrespective of the current framework, right? The platform is cloud agnostic, is database agnostic, and accelerates their journey, and does not only becomes a tool, but actually defines the ecosystem or I will say the framework for AI in healthcare. So that is how we will put that over there, that it's not just a AI studio or just an basically hub out there. It is the underlying framework on how we imagine the AI for healthcare should be built.
Yeah, so not just a bunch of different pilots, but one connected intelligence layer specifically for healthcare.
Yeah, so I think, and that is what it does. Like, you have these fragmented data fabrics, right? Building an intelligence layer on top of that, and then having those tools, right? Be the developer studio, be the visual workbenches, which will allow your analysts, your developers, your data scientists, and even your executives to build these solutions out of the box. And like what Mike said, accelerating that speed is key, right? So that it should not take months and quarters to get those things out in the hands of the clinicians, but should take hours or maybe days to be there. I think, and that is what we want to enable with the Innovaccer Gravity platform.
Yeah, definitely. And talk more about why it's important that this is really, healthcare native, that this is our only vertical. It's not just a vertical for us. Healthcare is a decade of experience and a decade of specificity in what's really different about healthcare data. It's very specific.
No, I think, and you've hit the nail right at the head, right? Innovaccer's Gravity platform has the healthcare context built in to it from ground up, right? So, and we have worked over the last decade working with the customers to build these ontologies which understand the complexities of medical data, be it the ICD codes, the LOINCs, the structured pieces, or even the unstructured data out there, and combining it to create meaningful clinical data sets out there and bring that context to the agent. So then you might get a diabetic code in 70 different codes, or say an HbA1c value, or even a note in the progress report. It unifies it all into a single signal, which gets transferred as a context to the AI agents, the co-pilots, and the workflows right out of the box, so that nobody has to build that logic again and again when they are building out the solutions on top of the platform.
Yeah. Other things that are really important for Gravity by Innovaccer is this context in healthcare of security, privacy, standards, guardrails. This is important everywhere in AI applications across enterprises, but it is extremely important in healthcare. The harms that can be applied are very, very real. So talk more about how we built that in.
Yeah, no, I think, and what we call internally is like the security is designed in as we have built it from day zero, right? And being into healthcare for so long, HIPAA and high trust basically have been table stakes. But how do you bring in the AI guardrails right out of the box into the platform? Things like PHI redactions, or basically doing your prompt monitoring, right? Understanding each and output that you get out of the platform needs to be explainable, traceable, and secure by default, right? So that is how we have try to bring in that there are out-of-the-box guardrails, but it doesn't end there. If you want to build more layers of security, more layers of guardrails, which are unique to your organization, it allows that too. So I can say for the first time, the CIOs can be both innovative and compliant at the same time.
Yeah, amazing. That's great. So let's get down, let's look at this in reality. Let's see what this actually looks like. Ashish, are you ready for your demo?
Absolutely, Lisa. Super excited to show what the team has been working for a couple of quarters. Before we get into the demo, I just wanted to talk about how we thought about Gravity by Innovaccer. There are three foundational pillars when we were thinking about building something which is purposefully built for healthcare. Because healthcare is not one of the verticals for us. It's the only vertical for us, right? So that's the major focus area. Now, when we started to think about Gravity by Innovaccer, the first pillar that came to mind was it has to be on the modern technology stack. There is no doubt about that. The second key pillar was it has to be like contextually rich from an infrastructure perspective. And third is that whatever is not there, if developer is coming on our platform, the overall kind of self-service has to be like simplified, right? So these are the foundational pillars. One is the modern technology stack. Two is your contextually rich infrastructure. And the third is about simplified self-service part of it. Now getting into the demo part of it, I'm super excited. And just to show, as you can see on the screen, there are multiple ways to log into our platform. And I'm selecting Innovaccer over there with my credential. I get into the platform. Mike, this is the day probably all of the data engineers has been waiting for that. They're not starting from the blank canvas. Yeah. They're getting thousands of preloaded content on the platform. When I started my journey as a data engineer, couple of decades back now, what we used to see is like we need to figure out everything, and that has been the journey for like really long time. So with this, a data engineer on day 0 get access to the connectors, to get access to data models, and AI engineer gets access to a lot of agents which are pre-built on the platform, along with a very simplified self-service tooling to build a new agent on the platform, and which I'm going to show you like very shortly. And then you have the API builder, and again, you can build the APIs in a very seamless manner. So take an example for this demo. I'm going to build a human capital management solution, right? And this kind of solution is fairly complex because of the dynamicity included with the whole solution, because you're going to deal with multiple diverse set of sources, starting with a bunch of EHRs, ERP solution, HR solution, along with the PMS solution, right? And you're going to get the data from all the sources and create one unified data fabric layer to activate the enterprise level intelligence. So that's the whole thing. Again, I'm going to go into connector section, where there are 450 plus connectors already preloaded on the platform. For this, I'm going to use Athena as the key EMR. And there's a list of resources that I can see, right? That through which Athena has exposed their data attributes. What I'm doing here, I'm going to select the bunch of APIs, which is really relevant from my perspective. And the moment I do it, I click on generate ETL. The code is being generated behind the scene. Remember, this was preloaded. It was already there on the platform. The selectiveness is driven by the developer, and it's the overall development packaging part is driven by the system, right? So you got the pipeline created. Now all you need to do, you activate it by providing the specific details of the Athena instance. And once you're done with the authentication, now the data start to hydrate our unified data model. Same step you need to repeat for ERP system, HR system, and all of it goes into our integrated data model, one layer for one organization. That's how we are building it. Once this is done, you get into data quality, and data quality is something that we take very seriously, because if you cannot trust the data, whatever you build is not going to be relevant from your perspective, right? So we already have thousands of checks already loaded on the platform that gets executed. We get to see the quality of data, and the engineer takes action to resolve those issues, right? While we're talking about the data checks around the business rules, one key thing that we have specifically crafted to meet the need of healthcare is around the usability of the data, right? We are getting the data from hundreds of sources, and each system is pretty open in that case, that what people can enter whatever they want to, right? So when we get into the data, we are kind of identifying that what is really usable versus not usable, and we are giving that information to data engineers to take corrective action, so that the usability of data kind of continues to the next layer as well.
This is really important for healthcare, and it's building on the decade of experience that we have with all these different types of data sources.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this is where the fun starts, right? Once we have the data available, we are trusting the data that everything is good. This is the screen where the AI engineer comes into picture and sees that what are the agents available already on the platform. You can use one of the existing agent and just activate it, or you can select to create a new agent. And with few steps, you should be able to do it. So I'm building an agent for human capital planning management. So I've given the name of the agent. I've given a description, because whatever you're building here, will go back to your own centralized library of agents. So someone tomorrow from your team comes and they want to use the agent will be available to them as well. So that's how the power of kind of a platform comes together, right? Once we are done with the description, we move into what are the policies in which agent should operate, because we know that AI is evolving and we need to put all the kind of security related constraint. Innovaccer from day zero has built the multi-layer security architecture, starting from when you land into the platform and the way you kind of navigate through the multiple data attributes. If you are not supposed to see something, you will never be able to see that thing on the platform. So for the purpose of demo, I created the policy already, and now I'm going to use it, which is Platform Resource Planning V1. Once I'm done with the policy selection, that means I have protected pretty much everything on the platform. Now we are coming to this selection of the LLM model. We host a range of LLM models on the platform, right? Starting from a model coming from Meta, OpenAI, Anthropic, Amazon, and Google as well, right? For this demo, my personal preference is Cloud 3.7 because the agent that I'm going to build requires like specialization in the reasoning part of it. And so far my experience with Cloud 3.7 has been like really amazing. So I'm going to use it. I just gave the referencing part of it. And now I'm giving instruction to the agent in terms of giving an identity, saying that, hey, you are a AI staffing coordinator. Then I'm giving the goal for that agent, saying that you need to ensure that staff is properly utilized, not underutilized, not overutilized, properly utilized part of it. And then I'm putting the instruction in which they need to operate, that there are legal kind of constraints, there are rules coming from hospitals, there are changes when you should do versus when you should not do. So all of that information is given to the agent. This is very important when I'm giving the specific knowledge of that particular health system to the agent, right? And this is where I'm defining that get access to my patient data, get access to my schedule data, get access to my location data. And these are the data elements that you should refer to when you are defining the overall capacity for my health system, right? This is very important to minimize the hallucination factor that we usually get with like this broad LLM algorithms, right? Once this is done, we navigate into the most important aspect of guardrails. Ankit talked about that guardrails are very important because while it's very important to tell the agent what they're supposed to do, it's even more important that what they're not supposed to do, right? So there are hundreds of guardrails, healthcare specific, that we have created out of box, which is there on the platform. Along with that, we are giving the flexibility to the developer to build their own guardrails in a very simplified manner, right? So use the existing guardrails like PII reduction, overlap shift, travel time constraint. We don't want to put a doctor in a shift where he need to travel from one location to another location for 3 hours, right? So those are the constraints that we are putting in. And then I'm putting the orchestration as default. I'm giving us access to the tools that agent is supposed to access. And I'm making this agent as a multi-agent support. And it's very important. I'll show you why it's important. So this is it. We have the agent ready for usage.
It almost seems too simple, but here we are.
Yeah. And now I want to test it, that whatever instruction, whatever configuration that I gave to the agent, is it really working or not? So I'm going to do a dry run with it, saying that please run a staffing check for all ICU and medical surgery units for next 2 days. The moment Copilot receives this and agent receives this instruction, it starts to crawl through all this database that we have and comes back with a summary saying that out of 10 facilities that we have, 8 is looking good, but with 2, we are seeing some level of observations, and those observations are also related to Northview Hospital and Riverside Hospital. So there are a few nurses are like on vacation. We need to kind of figure out, because there is a huge, they are seeing a huge demand for those, and people will not be able to cater to it. So what I'm going to give, then recommend me the solution for that, right? And then agent goes back behind the scene, looks into the overall capacity across all the 10 facilities, and comes back with the recommendation saying that Eleanor Rai is available, not that utilized. Probably she can be used to fulfill the need for now, along with Maria Patel, who actually worked with the practice some time back, and her schedule for next 2-3 days is looking relatively free. So I'm going to say that yes, make the changes and update the scheduling for these 2 individuals, and the request is submitted. Validated it, looks good. Now the next stage is to productionize it, because we want to do this on a regular basis, right? So as you can see on the screen, the agent that I built has access to the tool, which is Decision Engine. It has access to the LLM Cloud 3.7, and then the knowledge base that I created along with the guardrails. It is operating in that range. What I want to do, once the agent comes back with the recommendation in future, which is going to happen on a regular basis, probably on daily basis, I'm going to connect it with another agent, which is communication, that is already there on the platform, so that when such kind of shortfall is detected and there is an underutilization of or overutilization of resources happening, the communication goes back to the individual.
Sure.
And then I run it. It's now there in the production. And when the execution completes, I get a notification saying that there is update in the schedule for me, right? And that's it in terms of activating the agent. But that's not the last part. With all the data coming together from the systems, which is EHR, ERPs, we created the enterprise layer. With all these modification that agent is doing in real time, that is also going back to the unified layer. Yeah. And now I have access to the operational dashboard, which tells me that how is the bed utilization, how is the overall nurse to patient ratio, and you can build as many KPIs you want. We had, for the illustration purpose, I just put 4 KPIs, which we thought is going to be relevant, but the platform provides the capability for you to be very specific with your needs and activate the operations the way you want.
Yeah, this makes it clear that you're not building point solutions. This is part of the entire data layer, the data fabric for the healthcare enterprise, and it's truly not just a one-off out of the box. I built an agent and set it free on my healthcare system.
Absolutely. As you said at the beginning as well, healthcare is local. Yeah. It's very specific. It's changing from one health system to another system. There is no one unique answer. What is the answer is that you provide the simplified framework, provide the simplified platform to meet to those local needs.
To actually get some value out of it. Exactly. I mean, what does this mean for folks who are looking to actually implement this in their healthcare systems?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's super impressive that if you think about it, one person, Ashish, just provisioned an entire AI data model in less than 10 minutes.
Right.
In a self-service type capability with data that's been curated with high quality, had the guardrails in it. I love what you said about there's some things AI should not be doing.
Right.
Well, if you're an enterprise that's looking to deploy these AI models, you need that consistency in the organization. So what's really impressive about the Gravity by Innovaccer is that a CIO or the AI lead or a strategy lead in an organization can deploy this to the different business units that want to make changes and efficiencies in their particular domains, and yet follow some corporate guidelines in doing this. So this gets to the speed piece. Mm-hmm. It gets to consistent analytic results. And I love the fact that they have the freedom to choose their favorite models. Mm-hmm. And I think that's, it's kind of the first step in my mind of kind of going from, AI as a PowerPoint slide and a board presentation to actually affecting margins and outcomes for our patients. So
yeah, absolutely.
Well done.
Yeah.
For sure.
Anything to add on sort of the how this fits into the overall healthcare ecosystem to overall strategy?
No, I think all the point that Mike and Ashish said, I think moving away from, I will say, fragmented point solutions to a platform that enables the AI journey for these health systems, I think is a key construct of the Innovaccer Gravity platform. And how do you bring the fragmented data fabric, build an intelligence layer on top of that, have these capabilities like the AI studios, the LLM framework, your capability to build your agents, your co-pilots, your workflows to enable these solutions on top, and accelerating that journey rather than basically being months and quarters to days and hours is really, really key, right? And also, it's not just about the platform, but how do you bring in this whole ecosystem together? So even when we are building the Gravity platform by Innovaccer, the thing was that we worked with the SI system integrators, with consultants, that how do they intend to use a platform like, say, Gravity by Innovaccer to enable various solutions in a healthcare system.
Right.
So that has all gone into how we have been building the Gravity platform.
Right. I mean, technology alone isn't enough. There's an entire ecosystem here, and Gravity by Innovaccer is sort of a core part of that, but then there are also other pieces that come into play. If we think of the LLMs themselves as being, 5%, and then the technology infrastructure being, another 50%, there's a whole host of other things that have to happen in an ecosystem to make this work. And so what are the other folks we're going to bring in here? What are we thinking about how enterprises are actually going to implement this in their work? Any thoughts?
Yeah.
Well, I'll just emphasize a point Anka just made around speed of getting this in your environment. I mean, This is a pre-built system with a lot of the reference data that people have to go out and procure, a lot of the crosswalks between the different data types, connectivity to models that people are going to have to go get. So when an enterprise has to make a decision of buy versus build, to me, this is kind of in between.
It's kind of both.
Yeah. And to me, if you want a quick start, you put this product in place, get it going, and the horizontal solutions that are out there are fantastic. But at the end of the day, after you get them installed, you're looking at a blinking cursor.
Right.
Yeah. Full data models of this. You saw it. You have the ability to start clicking your way into building an AI agent to help with your efficiencies.
Yeah.
And so and by the way, you get to do the development within your own organization, whether you do it yourself or use SI partners for it. The healthcare industry has a lot of way to go in order to get our data managed and useful. Whether it's the biggest health systems or a community type health system.
This is really an accelerant for that.
Yeah.
Right on.
I think it's a very important point that Mike and Ankit both made is like Gravity by Innovaccer is giving you the platform that helps you drive the enterprise AI strategy.
Yeah.
There is a tsunami of AI companies, point companies coming, right? There is a growth year on year and there are so many experimentation happening. And what matters from a business perspective is outcome, right?
Yeah.
And how we can quickly move towards that outcome. Gravity by Innovaccer gives you that platform where if you want to join the dots that is delivered by these point companies together, and we have been talking to the SI partner, talking to the consult SI partners that Ankit mentioned, to understand exactly what has been the traditional challenge when they were talking about such kind of implementation. And that all of that knowledge is baked into this platform now.
Yeah.
So that's how we have been kind of working on this and to build this as well.
And I like what you said about this helps. This is the beginning of an enterprise strategy for AI, because right now, just to be a little irreverent, perhaps, is I think it's the strategy on AI is hope. I hope one of these things hits, and we all know that is not a strategy. So this is kind of the foundation to help people develop a very pointed strategy to go at getting some of the outcomes that they're hoping for.
Exactly. Yeah. So if this resonates with you, we'd love to talk to you. Our team is standing by. We're happy to, provide a personalized demo. We're also happy to provide a complimentary platform maturity assessment. So we hope this has been interesting and relevant to you. We're here to help with your enterprise AI strategy in healthcare, and reach out to our team. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa, for the host.